clung to each other, huddled in terror. The sounds grew louder, moaning, scratching, the metallic clang of unseen chains. "We're never getting out," Maya whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. The building seemed to mock them, the whispers forming coherent words. "Stay. Join us."
Welcome to Sleep Time Horror. Enjoy our spine-chilling stories as you sleep, commute, or relax. If you're new, hit subscribe and share with friends and family. Let us know in the comments how we can improve. Our stories are best experienced with headphones on. Now, let's dive into today's tale.
Warning: the following stories contain elements of horror that explore themes of the supernatural, possession, psychological terror, and gruesome transformations. They are intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for those sensitive to graphic imagery or themes of death, entrapment, and eternal damnation. Listener discretion is advised. Abandoned Asylum. Journey into the depths of horror. Prologue. The story centers around a group of 4 friends, Eli, Sarah, Jake, and Maya, who stumble upon an eerie rumor about an abandoned asylum on the outskirts of Danvers, Massachusetts. The asylum in question is the long-abandoned Danvers State Hospital, a real institution that closed its doors in 1992 after horrific allegations of patient neglect and abuse. The group, each with their own reasons for chasing the thrill of the macabre, decides to explore the asylum on October 31st, 2022, Halloween night. None of them fully grasp what awaits them inside. Chapter 1. The Dare, October 28th, 2022. Danvers, Massachusetts. Eli leaned back against the soft cushions of the cafe booth, a mischievous grin plastered across his face. "So, are you all chicken? Or are we doing this?" His phone, lying on the table, displayed a grainy photograph of the Danvers State Hospital. "Come on, it's Halloween. What's scarier than poking around an abandoned asylum?" Sarah, the practical one of the group, sighed and stirred her coffee. "You know that place has a history, right? Electroshock therapy, lobotomies. People died there, Eli." Jake chuckled nervously, his fingers tapping against the table. "Ghosts don't scare me. It's asbestos and roof collapses that freak me out." Maya, the quiet but curious member of the group, flipped through an article on her phone. There are rumors that, when it closed in '92, the last few patients disappeared, like no paperwork, nothing. She glanced up, the glint of excitement in her eyes, betraying her usually cautious demeanor. "So we're doing this?" Eli's tone was playful, but his eyes dared his friends to agree. One by one, the group nodded. "Halloween night, then," Maya whispered. Chapter 2. Shadows of the Past. October 31st, 2022, 10:57 p.m. The wind howled through the skeletal trees as the group parked their car a few blocks away from the looming structure of the Danvers State Hospital. The massive, Gothic-style building was cloaked in shadows under the moonlight, its windows resembling empty, unseeing eyes. The air reeked of mildew and rot as they approached. Their flashlights flickered, casting long shadows over the cracked pavement and dead grass. "This place is falling apart," Jake muttered, dragging his jacket tighter around himself. "We should just take a quick look and get out." Sarah held her phone up, recording their footsteps. "For proof we actually went through with this," she joked, but her voice wavered. The weight of the asylum's dark history seemed to press on them all. Eli, undeterred, led the way. Here's the main entrance." He shoved the rotten wooden door open, its hinges shrieking in protest. Inside, the air grew colder, and the smells of decay and mold intensified. The flashlights illuminated long, crumbling hallways with peeling paint and caged light fixtures swinging slightly above. Faint graffiti marred the walls, but there was no sign of recent trespassers. "It's like time just stopped," Maya murmured, her voice trembling. As the group wandered deeper, a sound made them freeze, a faint whisper, like paper crinkling in the wind. "Did you hear that?" Sarah asked, her voice tight. No one answered, but their uneasy glances told her they had all heard. Chapter 3. The Disappearing Hallway, 11:23 p.m. They ventured farther into the asylum, their nerves fraying with each step. The walls seemed to close in, and the hallways twisted in ways that defied logic. Each turn felt disorienting, like the building itself was alive and watching them. "This map makes no sense," Jake hissed, holding a printout of the asylum's floor plan. "We should have turned left back there, but now it's like this hallway isn't even supposed to exist." They were in a long corridor, the tiles beneath their feet fragmented and shifting. Their flashlight beams landed on an old gurney lying sideways against the wall, rusted restraints still latched to its decay-covered frame. "Maybe we should go back," Sarah suggested, her voice faltering. Before anyone could respond, a sound pierced the air. Laughter. It was faint, almost childlike, echoing from somewhere ahead. "Are there kids here?" Maya whispered, gripping her flashlight tighter as she scanned the darkness. Eli shook his head, his face pale. "No one's here." They pressed forward, despite the growing dread in their stomachs. At the end of the hallway was a door, its rusted surface barbed with nails. "The Children's Ward," Maya read aloud from a faded plaque above the ominous door. Chapter 4. The Children's Ward, 11:45 p.m. Pushing through the nailed door required effort, but Eli was determined. The room beyond was completely dilapidated, a cluster of overturned cribs, headless dolls, and stuffed animals, so worn they resembled nightmares. The walls were painted with murals of stick figures, but the figures' eyes were scratched out. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from across the room, making Sarah scream and drop her flashlight. The light spun wildly, illuminating for just a second a little girl in a tattered hospital gown, her hollow eyes glaring at the group. "She's gone," Maya stammered. The girl had vanished as quickly as she had appeared. I'm done. We need to leave right now." Sarah's voice cracked as she scooped up her flashlight. The laughter returned, louder now, surrounding them. "They won't let us leave," Maya murmured, her gaze distant. Her voice sounded detached, almost a whisper. "What?" Eli asked, confused. "The patients, the ones they forgot. They're still here." Chapter 5. The Descent, 12:10 a.m. Desperation clawed at them as they retraced their steps, but every hallway seemed to loop in on itself. Fear sapped their resolve as the asylum revealed its true nature. It wasn't just abandoned. It was alive, feeding on their growing terror. They stumbled upon an old staircase leading downward. Carved into the concrete wall was a chilling phrase: "Death is the only escape." Despite their better judgment, they descended. The basement reeked of damp earth and rusted metal. Old medical equipment was scattered like discarded toys, and the walls were lined with patient rooms, each door slightly ajar. What is this place?" Jake whispered. Eli's flashlight flickered, and for a moment the light revealed a shadow impossibly tall, standing at the far end of the hall. "Who's there?" he shouted, his voice cracking with fear. The shadow moved closer, impossibly fast, swallowing the light. Chapter 6. Trapped, 12:27 a.m. The shadow dissolved, leaving the group trembling. But now, they noticed something else. The asylum had changed. There were no more windows, no sense of an outside, just endless hallways, and the relentless whispers of unseen voices, pleading, crying, and screaming. "I can't do this anymore," Sarah sobbed, sinking to the floor. "We have to stick together," Eli insisted, though his own panic was evident. Maya stared down at a discarded patient file on the floor. She picked it up and read aloud, her voice trembling. "Patient 716, B, discharged, October 13th, 1992. Condition, unresponsive. Status, missing." Dozens more files littered the ground, all listing patients as unaccounted for. Suddenly, the hall filled with echoes of rushing footsteps, too many to count. The shadows multiplied, darting along the edges of their vision. Then, the lights died completely. Chapter 7. The group was plunged into total darkness. Their flashlights refused to turn on. They clung to each other, huddled in terror. The sounds grew louder, moaning, scratching, the metallic clang of unseen chains. "We're never getting out," Maya whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. The building seemed to mock them, the whispers forming coherent words. "Stay. Join us." As the chilling chant rose in volume, the asylum's cruelest trick revealed itself. Each friend suddenly found themselves alone, isolated, trapped in their own personal nightmare. For Eli, the walls closed in, suffocating him. For Sarah, the whispers became deafening screams, screeching her name. For Jake, the ground beneath him crumbled, swallowing him in darkness. For Maya, the faces of the forgotten patients appeared, accusing her, their skeletal hands reaching. Epilogue, October 1st, 2022. Danvers Police Department. A search party found the group's car on November 2nd. The asylum, once so imposing, stood empty. Not a trace of Eli, Sarah, Jake, or Maya was ever found. Locals speak of hearing faint laughter near the asylum grounds on Halloween. Echoes of those who dared to stay too long.
If you're new, hit subscribe